Were you surprised Fernando Mendoza dropped an F-bomb last night?
Absolutely.
I was shocked.
Yeah. I mean, not the idea that he said a swear word, but I like how he said it just a few words after he was giving all the glory to God.
That's the thing with me.
All the glory to God. Let's fucking go.
Well, yeah. So can you be the squeaky clean Christian guy and then drop a let's fucking go? Like, how many Hail Marys do you have to say after that?
I don't know. I like it. It makes him more real. I'll say that. Like Steph Curry, for example, doesn't swear in front of the media, but we all know that he does. Look at him when he's looking in the camera at any point during a game. Like,
or going up against Klay Thompson last year where he was like, this is my, you want to fucking leave here?
Stop hiding it, dude. Like, stop hiding. I liked that, actually. I really did, but it was, to me, objectively funny that he said it literally after giving the glory to God. Let's fucking go.
Well, yeah.
So he didn't commit to it either. Like, it wasn't like an enunciated.
No.
Fuck. It felt like he half-assed it a little bit.
Can we play it real quick? Because I sent to you in the DMs where when I heard it initially, I was like, did he say that?
As ESPN was rocking the Busta Rhymes music video camera, God, they had their
fish lens.
They had the close up on everyone's face.
Dude,
yesterday.
I love me a good Busta Rhymes video. Love me a good Busta Rhymes video.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza, give me some mo. All right,
give me some mo.
Such a great group of guys. I love you guys. Great job. Let's fucking go. Such a great.
What a guy.
Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, did he say fuck?
Yeah.
And then I rewinded it and I was like, yeah, he dropped it. And maybe that shows a little bit more of his actual personality where he's not so, politician-like when he gives these post-game interviews. That's just who he is. He is a cheesy guy, but also he's a football player. And he's bound to have some curse words every now and then. It's like when I was surprised when I hear mic'd up of Jim Harbaugh and he drops some F-bombs. But it's always funny to me when overly religious guys curse, and I'm like, it's kind of hypocritical, wouldn't you say? If you're going to be a God-fearing man, then you can't be using the Lord's name in vain. And that, not to say like they say God damn it or anything, but like, fuck, shit. Those are sins, my friend.
Yeah. I do wonder what his NFL career is going to be like now that he's, trying the whole girlfriend thing out by this time.
Dude, did you see that before I said that to you?
What?
The Ricky Williams clip on yeah. We can play it, but I'll just get to the gist of it. Ricky Williams was doing an interview with Dan Lepetard, and he was at the national championship, and he was like, yeah, I mean, Fernando Mendoza was talking to me and Tim Tebow, of all people, Tim Tebow, asking them, like, so when you get drafted in the NFL, like, when do you get into girls? And Ricky Williams was like, well, I think I was into girls way before that, my friend.
Yeah.
So it just kind of shows that Fernando Mendoza really is this wholesome kid. And it's pretty clear with Tom Brady and Mark Davis and John Spytek in attendance last night, he's going to be drafted first overall. The question is, who's going to be the head coach with him? And watching that game last night, too, he's going to be the first overall pick. But his performance, it didn't wow me to the point where I'm like, well, yeah, you got to do it. I think there is some deficiencies in his game. And we'll talk about it through the offseason, but he's not a generational talent. He can be a Brock Purdy in your offense where he's very decisive with the football, but at the same time, he's going to need a good play caller to help him out.
He reminds me of a bigger Kirk Cousins, dude, honestly. Maybe a stronger arm, but he reminds me of a bigger Kirk Cousins. Like that quarterback draw, how often is that going to get called in the NFL? Never. On a fourth down like that, they're never going to call a quarterback draw. I'm not looking at that play thinking that's how his NFL career is going to go. Spinotti called me just dumb for thinking that the Raiders should trade down, but I'm leading in that direction. I really am.
Spinotti wants him that bad?
Yeah.
I mean, we get so sucked into...
Well, it's Spinotti. He overreacts to every college quarterback that he sees.
But we get so
thought Miller Moss was going to be a superstar after seeing him play one game in USC.
I remember him talking. I
love him dearly. He's one of my most good. He's one of my best, not best. He's one of my good friends in radio, right?
Yeah.
Like out of work, you don't really get employees too much that are you can call friends, but I could genuinely call Spadoni a friend, and I'm saying it even behind his back through a podcast. We had the conversation this morning. Not really a conversation. It was more of a one where I was walking by. He's like, Mendoza, Steve. And then I was like they should trade down. And then he's like, are you dumb? Genuinely, are you dumb?
Yeah, man. Okay, just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. That's a perfect segue for or interjection of just your opinion, man, because I'm kind of with you where I am not blown away by this guy. Where, yes, he's interesting and he could be just a film rat and perfect for a scheme. But as far as first overall, again, I don't want to sound like a homer here, but I'd rather take a generational talent and what I perceive to be in Arch Manning. I really think he's going to be that type of guy. Like, you want more Josh Allen than Brock Purdy with the first overall pick. Yeah. And that's not to say that Fernando Mendoza won't be a good quarterback, but sure. I just think there's limitations. I think like last night, he had a good performance, 16-27 for 186 yards, and Indiana wins their first national championship.
Stats don't tell the whole story of what he did in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. 27-21. They win the game. The 12-yard run, it was Elway-esque on 4th and 5, but you're not going to call that in the NFL. I'm with you. Where they're not going to run a QB draw with Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins. I don't think he has that mobility. And even Herbstreit last night on some of the throws, like the 4th and 5 where he completed to pretty much solidify the victory for them.
Yeah.
To get the field goal to go up 27-21. He was like, that's not a good ball right there. Even the pass rush got to him, made him uncomfortable, where I don't really see how he can evade from pass rushers. Who's the guy? The pass rusher for Miami, Robert Beal?
Ruben Bain. Ruben Beal.
Yeah, I'm way off there. Ruben
so
Bain.
Entrenched in 49ers talk.
Jesus Christ.
You bring in some depth defensive
linemen.
linemen.
Yeah, Larry Krueger would be proud of me there. Bain. I'm more interested in him, but then again, you need a quarterback. You definitely need a quarterback. So I think it is a foregone conclusion that they're going to take him, but we are a long way away from the draft where the Raiders had the first overall pick. And I would do my due diligence on this, where he's not a home run hitter. He's a very interesting prospect and loves football, but is he going to be the guy that makes them, contenders again and competes with Mahomes and Bo Nix and Justin Herbert? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Mark Davis when he was at Hard Rock Stadium yesterday. I'm interested to hear if him and John Spytek see eye to eye when it came to Mendoza. Like, I think with the amount of fans that were there for Indiana, considering it was basically a Miami home game, but a lot of Indiana fans were there, and you could hear it on the ESPN broadcast when they mentioned it. I wonder if Mark Davis just sees dollar signs with Mendoza, like, this kid's going to be a star for this team. And I don't know. I mean, but also I'm on the side of maybe they are in a draft day situation. Like, they don't have to look at whether the teammates attended his own birthday party, but there's plenty of defensive players at the top of the board. I mean, you mentioned Ruben Bain. Who's the top overall guy? Charles Omenihu? No.
No, that's the other guy that's been on the 49ers.
Excuse me. Yeah.
We're already referencing established players in the NFL as draft prospects.
That was intentional. I was trying to set that up. I don't even care who the best available is. I was trying to think of any random 49ers defensive lineman that's kind of joined the rotation these last few years. But I look, it seems like it is they're going to do it. It's not a Mendoza thing for me. I think he can be a very successful player. I think he can be comparing to Kirk Cousins because I see the similar throwing motion, not exactly the same height, but feels like they're the same build, and maybe it is just that personality at the end of the day.
Come on, say it. They're both cornballs.
Yeah, a little bit, but Kirk seems just so it all seems so genuine, but anyway.
Well, the same thing with Mendoza, but yeah. They're just cringy where you're like, are you really that way, man? Like, come on now.
But it's not so much a Mendoza problem for me. It's a Raiders problem. Like, I just don't know if they're even in a spot where they could get a top overall quarterback. It does depend on the coach. Like if depending on who they hire, like if they hire that Panthers defensive coordinator who they just finished a second interview with today, I don't know how I'd be feeling about that, especially since Mike Daniel now has gone to the Chargers. And I know we'll probably pick that up a little bit later on in the pod, but yeah, it's not a Mendoza problem with me. I think he's going to be very good at the NFL level. I just don't know if the Raiders are the right place where he could develop into the quarterback that everyone thinks that he can be coming off a Heisman Trophy season. Just look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold. You know, you're selected within the top 5, some first overall, and you just enter kind of a dumpster fire that's going on within an organization. And I don't know what the quarterback prospect class looks like next year, but I do know it's not very deep this year. And there could be some quarterback needy teams that would be willing to, I think, trade up. And I'm kind of looking at the Arizona Cardinals right now. I don't even know if they throw in like Kyler Murray as just a placeholder while the Raiders actually find a long-term guy, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do that. Not with their first overall. No,
probably not. But Fernando Mendoza does kind of feel like a Arizona Cardinal to me more than a Raider, just like the personality and the city itself, where they would be behind that, where, you know, they don't have like renegades. They had Kurt Warner as their quarterback, and he was great, but also he was a God-fearing man. And I feel like that would be kind of the same deal with Fernando Mendoza. No. But as far as you brought up Mike McDaniel, we can just talk about that real quick, where he was interviewed by the Raiders yesterday, where, you know, he lived in Miami, and he talked with Mark Davis and Tom Brady and John Spytek. And the news just broke a couple of hours ago that Mike McDaniel has accepted the Chargers offensive coordinator job if he does not get a head coaching position. He took himself out of the running for the Cleveland Browns head coaching job, and I don't blame him because, I mean, the defense is really good, but what are your answers as far as the offense? And is anybody going to be pushed into a situation where you have to have Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback? No, thank you. Yeah. So with McDaniel, I think it's intriguing where I could see him developing Mendoza pretty well in a quick passing game, but you have an opportunity to coach Justin Herbert. I get that. So I wonder, like, the way that it's reported by Tom Pelissero is interesting, where yes, he's accepted the job, but if Baltimore or the Raiders give him their head coaching position, then he could take that job. But I'm getting the feeling that he'd rather just be the Chargers OC. So at this point, I know there's other names that the Raiders have interviewed. You mentioned the Panthers DC, and I never know how to pronounce his name. I think with Tom Brady calling Seahawks games back-to-back weeks, it's kind of the Ben Johnson deal a year ago. I think they're kind of waiting for Clint Kubiak. I think now with Kevin Stefanski going to the Atlanta Falcons, and it sounds like Mike McDaniel is going to take that Chargers job, and I have a hard time believing that Tom Brady looks at McDaniel as a leader of men. I know you hate that term, but I think that he wants a offensive play caller. So if I had to guess right now, a lot of people have Brian Flores linked to the Raiders, but they haven't interviewed him at all. And it's unfortunate because I do think Brian Flores would be a good head coach again, but given the lawsuit against the league, I don't think he's going to be a head coach, which is unfortunate. But
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're waiting on Clint Kubiak, where Tom Brady has a front row seat to the offense and being around the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks.
Yeah, someone like that.
Yeah,
just someone like that. And I don't know. I think I'd be fine with them retaining Patrick Graham if that's what it meant. It sounds like
I don't know about that happening.
It sounds like he's going elsewhere because there's no guarantees for him in his job. Like, why wouldn't you go around taking interviews with other teams who actually need someone at your position? Whereas you bring in a new coaching staff, then everything could change. There's no guarantees that they actually keep you around. So you mentioned it a few weeks ago, just with these head coaching cycles where the NFL is trending, where it's offensive up and coming rising star paired up with kind of a veteran defensive coordinator who's already established, who just doesn't really need to be a head coach.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best route. And that's be the route that I'd feel the best about, but I'm going to stay consistent. I am indifferent about any move that they make until I actually see some results on the field. I am done with any expectation.
No, that's totally fine. And Yeah, I agree. Or
bring back Gruden. Who knows?
I'd be down for that too, but I don't think that's happening. I think that'd be Mark Davis's wet dream, but I don't think that's a reality. I think that when it comes to the trend in the league right now, I think you're going to see a lot of Mike McDonald, kind of not lookalikes, but like the Mike McDonald effect, where you saw Jeff Hafley get the head coaching gig with the Dolphins. Robert Saleh is now your new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And you could see Chris Shula, you could see Jesse Minter, you could see these other defensive masterminds, young defensive masterminds get head coaching gigs where they want the Mike Vrabel effect, they want the Mike McDonald effect, they want the leader of men / defensive coordinator guy, and then they get an offensive play caller. So I think that's the trend we're going in, and we'll talk more about Robert Saleh. But yeah, if I had to guess right now, I think that Clint Kubiak is going to be your Raiders head coach, but we got a long way to go where it's not the most desirable job. But when you got the first overall pick, who knows? Before we get into the 49ers season being over, that me and Steven correctly predicted, and I'm sure AJ Cruz expects me to go like, in your face, I told you so. We'll get into a great season for the 49ers coming to an end, but ultimately the wheels fell off, and all the other great, crazy games for divisional weekend. Steven and I are going to be back on Thursday night to do the conference championship preview show, and we'll also get more into this topic. We're going to be on Thursday because Saturday I had a little Giants fan fest with Greg Silver and San Ramon, interviewing some Giants players to get excited for this fantastic upcoming season. But before I do that, on Thursday, we'll do a podcast. We'll get into the topic a little bit more, but the Warriors are playing right now, and they're losing to the Toronto Raptors on a back-to-back. And I think we all knew what was going to happen today with the news. When you saw the play last night, Jimmy Butler tears his ACL. It looked pretty clear to me when that happened last night that he was going to be done for. So just your quick thoughts, Steven, as Jimmy Butler is done for the Warriors season.
Quick thoughts. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks to the highest degree. Is there any top tier of sucking? Because it would be this. It sucks. It's awful. I hate it for Butler. I think he really, especially when it seemed like the Warriors, I don't know. How much do we really want to take away from a homestand where they're riding hot? And the thought was like they're finding their footing and they're finding a rhythm now with DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford, who have been terrific off the bench. DeAnthony didn't play last night. Brandon Pajemski playing a lot better, like a much improved player than he was earlier on in the season. Like he got it. Moses Moody found his scoring touch a little bit. I don't actually know what his scoring totals looked like. I don't know what they looked like last night, but I know Buddy Hield and Pods both knocked down some huge threes. It just felt like they were finding a flow, and it took this homestand to do it. But at the center of it was Jimmy Butler. Like, and you hear it so much from Exhibit A, AJ Cruz. Exhibit A might be the person they showed at the national championship in Miami last night. But without Butler, like, where does that go? Where do they fall? It took them, it felt like it's been literally months since they've been able to find consistent lineups that Kerr's comfortable with using. And a lot of that was centered around Jimmy Butler, especially with how he fits within that second unit with both the aforementioned Horford and Melton. So what does it look like now? I don't know the future with, Kuminga, whatever. We can talk about all that, but I just wonder, do they have months to afford time where they're trying to rework and reassess? And Steve Kerr goes back into experimentation phase where he's just saying, yeah, I was just, plugging guys together, seeing what works. Hopefully it works the next game. I don't know if I'm going to go with that, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, just some little side note before we get your quick thoughts, Derek. I'm sure you've been talking about it. But quick side note here, through the first quarter, Steve Kerr has deployed 11 guys. Jonathan Kuminga is not one of them.
Well, that's no surprise. And as far as Kuminga, when I saw this play last night, my immediate thought was Kuminga's back on the table. And now this guy's going to be like, speaking of sucking, Steven, this guy's like Robin Swallows from Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. She never dies. Why won't you die? Kuminga will never die as long as Joe Lacob's the owner, even if he is irritated that he faked an injury in that OKC game. I got to believe that Joe Lacob's going to sit down Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr. and be like, okay, guys, we don't have Jimmy Butler, so what are we going to do? Want to play my guy? I don't know why I make up something like Yogi Bear there. Hey, boo-boo. But yeah, dude, I think that this team was finding a rhythm, but they were playing subpar teams, but it was there. And yeah, now it goes back to experimental phase for the Warriors. And I think their best case scenario at this point is to be a play-in team, even if they make a move. Like, okay, so you trade Kuminga, and Mike Dunleavy Jr. just got done talking where he said, yeah, there was a demand, but there needs to be a demand from the market in order for there to be a trade. He's basically calling out Kuminga, being like, you're not good enough right now, or other teams don't think that highly of you. And maybe that's self-inflicted by the Warriors by not playing him, but I think everything's on the table right now, where the body language of Steve Kerr last night told me that
Kuminga's in.
Is he really?
He's in. He's in the
Holy fucking shit. I was not anticipating that, but
Agent Zero out on the floor.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And as Steve Kerr said last night when Tim Kawakami asked him, is there now potential for Kuminga to play more? And Steve Kerr said, absolutely. Yep. And he's like, has he been practicing? And Steve Kerr just kind of nonchalantly goes, yep. And you could tell like he doesn't want to do it, but this is the situation they're in. And yeah, as Mike Dunleavy Jr. said, like there needs to be a demand in order to pull off a trade. And right now it sounds like it's just for pennies at this point, where the Kings are the most interested team and they're offering Malik Monk and Keon Ellis. And if you get those guys, that's not a big difference to me. Even like DeMar DeRozan, that's not a big difference to me. He's the same age as Jimmy Butler. Like, and he doesn't have an expiring contract. He'll be on the roster for the next few years, but I guess they can decline his option, but that costs you money. I don't know.
DeMar, I see that move, the less I like it.
Thank you.
Drake and Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, thank you. Or was that the ESPYs?
Saturday Night Live, I think.
You sure? Okay. Wasn't that the Will Ferrell sketch?
It might have been the ESPYs.
Yeah, I remember playing that.
Oh my god! Okay. I just regurgitated something from the ESPYs.
An ESPY sketch.
Wow,
that's how profound it was.
Well, you know what? The quick sidetrack is there was one where Justin Timberlake was hosting, and he did like a video montage, and it was as if he was like kind of like Forrest Gump, where he's impacting the things that changed the year in sports. And I remember there was one, it was after the Giants won the Super Bowl with the Tyree helmet catch.
Yeah.
And Justin Timberlake's just walking along the sideline like, man, this is pretty cool. I'm at the Super Bowl here. And he's chewing a bunch of gum. And then he's like, God, this gum is very delicious, but it's gotta go. And he puts it on
the side of the helmet.
He put it on the side of the helmet. I still remember that. Anyway, keep going. DeMar DeRozan, John.
That's like Ron Burgundy. Like this burrito is great, but it is filling.
It is filling.
Yeah, I think like they would have to, in order for me to feel good about the future, I think they need to pull off an Andrew Wiggins type trade where it's not for this season, really, it's for next season as well. Is that Michael Porter Jr.? I don't know, but it sounds like the Brooklyn Nets are not interested in Jonathan Kuminga at this point. And you'd have to probably give up Moses Moody as well. So do you want to gut the roster in order to save the team, not this season, but next season? Let's just be honest, they're fucked. Like this should not, like, seriously, like this really screws them for the long-term future.
Yeah.
Where the expectation is they're going to get Jimmy Butler back next year, but when? And Mike Dunleavy Jr. already said that they're not going to trade his contract to like pull like a DeAnthony Melton move like a year ago, where just get him off the books for this year and try to go get somebody else. This really fucking screws them. Like, you know, the next 2 years, we'll see what happens with Steph Curry. I thought it was a slim chance that he would get his 5th championship along with Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. And I think more and more about, does Steve really want to do this? When I hear him say they're a fading dynasty and he tells Tom Tolbert we can't compete with younger teams, this might have been the nail in the coffin, but we could talk about it more on Thursday. But yeah, I honestly think the Warriors are fucked after this move. Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
Not move, but injury.
Yeah. It's the thing is, like, I'm not going to give up on watching the Warriors this season, but I'm not going to get my hopes up either. Like, it's just, this is such a complicated situation. And anytime something like this happens, like, we as fans all try to create these magical ways in which the Warriors could do something, like, and maybe they can, but it really is the type of injury that is season altering. And, you know, Fitz and Buki were talking pregame, and I was interested to hear what they would have to say, because Fitz always finds a way to spin it into a positive direction. And so I'm curious how you could spin it in a positive direction. So I was interested to hear what he had to say. And he basically said injuries suck. They happen, but you have to move on. The Warriors have dealt with this before with Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Then I'm thinking in my head, okay, this is not the late 2010s Warriors here that we're talking about. This is a team that was solely relying on Jimmy Butler to carry that second unit while slowing things down and controlling the tempo of the game. Like, this is a totally different scenario than those other two guys. So sure, they've been able to weather the storm without them, but with all-time strength in numbers rosters, this isn't exactly that. And speaking of the rosters, I always get so confused with Will Richard and his haircut, because when I see number 3 on the court, I just instantly go to Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I'm with you on trying to find a positive spin to this, but there isn't. And I know
there isn't
usually,
one. I can't think of what. I'm not gonna. There's no point in giving up on a season because it's sports. Like, it's not. I'm never gonna watch them, but I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, this team. Like, but prior to the injury, yeah, they can get the 6th seed. Absolutely. Like, they're within the always in the middle of these conferences. It's always muddled, right? It's such a log jam, no matter the sport, really.
right.
Within these wild card spots, like maybe the first one is already taken, but I mean, obviously, this is a play-in type situation. But it's always just packed within the middle of the Western Conference. And I was like, you know what? The Warriors can fight for a 6th seed. I think they can do that. But 7th through 10th, maybe. And I just don't know what to expect. I really don't.
Yeah, I think they could be a play-in team still, but that's as far as I'll go. 8th seed, 9th seed, 10th seed. Like, it's basically the 2021 season where Klay got hurt and Steph had to go sicko mode the rest of the season. And I don't know if he's capable. He's capable of having 50-point performances, but not consistently like that season where it was just crazy. And he was third in MVP that year when they were, the 10th seed, whatever they were that year. Or was it 8th seed where they had the playing game with the Lakers and then lost to the Grizzlies. Yeah, I heard Fitz last night, and usually he's very optimistic about the Warriors, kind of homery. But even he said last night, and I won't forget this, but he said if Jimmy Butler is gone for any significant amount of time, the season is done. And I agree with him to a certain extent where, yeah, they're not going to compete for a championship. And, just to transition to the Niners here, this isn't like where other guys can step up on a football team, where Brock Purdy has an unbelievable end to the season and Christian McCaffrey basically carried the team along with George Kittle and other guys stepped up. But the defense was, obviously their Achilles heel, but you just, were able to get over that because the offense was so potent. In the NBA, you need stars. And the reason why the Warriors turned it around from being the 10th seed or worse to being the 7th seed, at one point being the 4th seed a year ago, was because of Jimmy Butler. And he is their second best player. And now guys are going to have to step up, but I can't believe that they're going to become a contending team because without Jimmy Butler. Like, I just can't see it happening. So
no. He was at the center of the rhythm. It's like Red Hot Chili Peppers losing John Frusciante for a time. Different circumstances, heroin addiction, needs to step away from the band.
I would say so. Yeah, a little different.
Little different. But without John Frusciante, they just weren't the same. And
they got by with God, what's that one? What's the one album? I'm With You.
Yeah, it was all right. It was
good.
It was fine. They just weren't the same.
No, of course not. The Adventures of Rain Dance Maggie.
Yeah, Monarchy of Roses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey now, got to make it rain somehow.
Yeah, but they're just, it's not gonna. And right now you're seeing it. Like the second half of a back-to-back, they're already down 46-29. By the way, Kuminga's showing right now is no points, 2 minutes, a rebound, and 2 missed free throws.
Yeah, that's where now that he's demanded the trade, I wonder how willing he will be to actually play. Where he's playing tonight, but is he willing to play ball with Steve Kerr right now? I don't know. Anyway, we can talk about it more on Thursday.
that's going to be a whole thing.
Oh, of course it is, and this will never end. I have a feeling they're not going to trade him now. I have a feeling that's going to happen. But
I actually do think they will.
The smart move would be, but like at this point, for what? Anyway, as I try to relate this to the 49ers persevering, and
they would need something magical to happen if they want to contend.
Yeah, exactly. And the 49ers were a little magical this year, but then the wheels fell off. And I don't think anybody was surprised with the outcome that we saw on Saturday night. Steven, get out the hot sauce. I'm not going to forget Steven lost in picks. But as far as the 49ers losing, 41-6, the Seattle Seahawks, Daniel Jeremiah said on with Brock Heward in his radio show that it would take a Canton-like game plan for Kyle Shanahan to have any different outcome than what happened in Week 18, and that was the case where it was worse, 41-6. And Steven gets out a Ritz cracker and a little hot sauce, a little dab will do you. So do you want me to go first, or you first, Steven, with breaking down this game with doing that
damn hot sauce?
You got a dab. There we go. That's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good glob.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Steven, your thoughts on the 49ers season ending after the beatdown in Seattle?
Make sure we got it real, huh?
That's a good crunch.
Oh. That didn't help.
Not twisted a baby now. That's what we look like.
The cracker particles like spread it immediately.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Oh my God. Oh.
Easy there. Look like a Bella Danger watching the game last night.
Shit. What was your question?
Just your thoughts on the game.
Oh. God, what a mess. Huh? You know, it wasn't as bad in the first half as I remembered. I'm going back to watch it again. Like, sure, there's the kickoff return and the Jake Tunges fumble, and the offensive line was, not able to block, but they were still in it. And really, I thought the turning point of the game happened close to the end of that first half where, oh God, I can't. Oh, shit. Excuse me.
Do you need me to go?
I'm sorry. Hang on. No, I got it. But the thing to me that changed everything was towards the end of the first half when it was still 17-6.
Yeah.
They still have a chance in that game. You know, like anything's possible in the playoffs, but then a defensive holding call on Jordan Elliott allowed the Seahawks to get back in it. It was on 3rd and 2. Then Zach Charbonnet would have a huge run, and I think Kenneth Walker would walk one in for a touchdown. And at that point, kind of felt like the game was over. Yeah, what can I say that hasn't been said about this already? Because we're already like 3 days removed from it. But you're right, man. Just the wheels fell off. They ran out of gas. The Seahawks are just a more talented team, more healthy team that has, quite frankly, been a lot better at drafting. You're seeing Nick Emanwari and Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Kenneth Walker, like all these guys, all these draft picks. Like I sent you that thing after the game. I don't think we need to play it, but there's something specifically where the rookie offensive lineman Gray Zabel, who's a stud, informed Leonard Williams of something happening within the game, which made a difference. And Williams went on to note that afterwards. And I'm like, you don't really get that with you don't get that with other rookies. Like you don't hear that all too often. You may think it happens, but it really doesn't, especially with a player like Leonard Williams compared to a rook. But yeah, just the Seahawks have been one of the best drafting teams, and they got the head coach that stumped Shanahan and Purdy on Christmas Day, and then it comes to a 41-6 blowout, and they still haven't scored a touchdown on them in the new year.
Yeah, real quick on Gray Zabel. He was kind of tied to the 49ers in the last year's draft in the first round. He's an interesting guy where he's actually funny, too. They asked him about Clint Kubiak potentially getting a head coaching gig, and he just said, man, Clint Kubiak's a terrible coach. Nobody should hire him.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the game,
yeah,
look, you could say it was over by the opening kick because technically they outscored them 7-6, but that ignited that Seattle fan base where that place is already rocking. And then the opening kick, I thought it was coming back, but you saw that Eddie Pinheiro try to trip Rashid Shaheed. I mean, that went to another level. And I know that some 49er fans say that they pump in crowd noise up in what now is Lumen Field. Adam Copeland was talking to me about it. He's like, they're just loud. That's the bottom line. You're just jealous that they caused that much commotion in their stadium. And yeah, that ignited them. And people don't like the 4th and 1 decision by Kyle. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. It was a slow developing play with the weird option of Kyle Juszczyk to McCaffrey. Kyle's explanation was they called the 4th and 1. It was called back because Seattle already called the timeouts. They get a redo. And then Seattle knew it was coming. It's just your offensive line is not powerful enough to go over that interior. So they overthought it. Play got blown up. And then you're able to throw the touchdown pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's another thing where, God, the Seahawks kicked your ass, won by 35 points, and JSN goes 3 catches for 19 yards and 1 touchdown. I thought Cooper Kupp didn't have, like, eye-popping stats, but it was more of a vintage Rams playoff performance that he had in years past where, you know, Upton Stout was fine, but he kind of took him to school where he got open on 3rd downs. And Renardo Green and Marquise Siegel were out of place. The game was pretty much over when Kenneth Walker scored that touchdown. And I thought that maybe they get back in the game 17-6. They're moving the ball a little bit on the defense. Nothing to a touchdown, but I thought Brock Purdy, given the circumstances, played his ass off where he was running for his life most of the game. That one play where it was a 3rd down conversion where he went all the way to his right and threw it across his body to Jake Tom just for the 1st down. I was like, they may have something going here. And I thought that maybe Zach Charbonnet's injury would stall the offense. I texted you that, but they could not stop Kenneth Walker to 3 touchdowns. And really the game was over in the second half where they went for it on 4th and 2 and Leonard Williams sacked them. So, look, the bottom line is it was a great 49er season, and they overcame so many injuries and so much adversity. But the bottom line is Seattle's just a better team. They have better players, and Sam Darnold, even with the oblique injury, didn't have to do much in this game, and he was fine. So, yeah, the truth is, like, they were lucky to get by the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Eagles are properly coached, they probably should put up 41 points on that 49er defense. But they didn't. They are a anemic offense, and the 49ers benefited from that, and Kyle's a better coach. So they went for the jugular in the 4th quarter with that sky reverse bank pass, and they went to this game and got overmatched.
Yeah.
And the way they played for most of the season was because the way that they played was admirable. I mean, like, it was, I mean, not even more than admirable. It was unbelievable. I think you come away from the season having even more respect for Kyle Shanahan, where we knew he was one of the best play callers in all football, but he took his game to another level this year, in my opinion. He downplayed it, but I think people say this, where he should be in contention for Coach of the Year. It was his best coaching gig, or best coaching performance, hands down. As far as Brock Purdy, he proved to me that he's worth $53 million a year and deserves that contract, where he is the franchise quarterback. Anybody questioning that, just go watch the Colts game where he was in total command of that offense. It was unbelievable. And as far as Christian McCaffrey, it showed that he's maybe slowing down a little bit, but he's still that guy that could be a Swiss Army knife week in and week out and move that offense for you. You don't know?
I mean, he was this season, but can you really afford to give him almost 500 touches next year when he's averaging 3 yards a carry?
No, when McCaffrey even said that himself, that if it needs to be where another running back comes in and takes carries away from me, then so be it. So I think 49er fans, I'm going to pull the Lynn Jones here where, hey, everybody, this was a great season. You hold your head up, baby, okay? All right? Because, yes, it's demoralizing to lose to a bitter rival 35 points, 41-6. And is the rivalry back on? Yes. 49er fans should be pissed off they lost to this team. But given the circumstances and how many injuries they had, you went 12-5. If you are healthy, on paper, you should compete with the likes of the Rams and Seahawks. And it sucks that those teams are going to the NFC Championship game and you're not invited. But you have a lot to be proud about because most teams would just crumbled and packed it in, and they persevered. They got through the Bosa and the Fred Warner injury, the Michael Williams, and the Brock Purdy injury. And it looked like it didn't even faze him, even when he said he was going to be not going to be 100% the rest of the season. The fact that he didn't look like the toe bothered him at all, that's incredible. So I feel confident in this team going forward. I think they can be Super Bowl contenders. The key is, and this is easier said than done, they just have to stay healthy. And I know that's not really pointing a finger at anybody in particular, but they need to stay healthy. The seasons they went to the Super Bowl, they were healthy. 2019 and 2023, with the exception of Deebo Samuel being injured for a couple of games, you got to stay healthy.
Yeah,
that's a lot to ask with George Kittle and the timeline of the Achilles. Is Nick Bosa going to be his same self? I'm confident in Fred Warner being his usual self as the best linebacker in football.
Yeah,
but they just got to stay healthy. And really, what I'm talking about is Ricky Pearsall needs to show up a little bit more. Where the knee injury makes me believe that he can be injury prone. It's nothing to do with what happened. Injury prone means what happens on the football field, not what happened in Union Square a year ago. So people want to look to the substation and all that bullshit. I'm not buying that. The bottom line is just this team just needs to stay healthy because they have the best coaching staff in football, minus Robert Saleh now. But I have so much confidence in Kyle Shanahan leading them the rest of the way.
Well, I think Shanahan has to dial down his practices.
You think so?
I think that's more. I mean, maybe the substation, maybe there's some merit to it. Honestly, like,
you think so?
Maybe. I'm not saying, but maybe. I got my wife. She was when we first started dating. When we first started dating, she used to be an usher at Levi's Stadium, job she dearly misses because she loves helping people, and she loved when people would come up and just ask her for directions on where to go and what to do and blah 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 when they got there. Also, when she was working the Super Bowl, Barry Bonds just tried walking in without showing any sort of identification, and Jesse still holds a grudge. I'm like, it's Barry fucking Bonds. You just let him in. You know who it is. Look at the head. Anyway,
did she stop him?
I think she tried to, or someone tried to.
Ooh, yeah. That's a move, Jesse. That's a move.
Yeah, I don't know if it was her, but anyway. But she was working during a preseason game against, I want to say, the Eagles, and this was before their whole thing happened. Okay. But she goes there, she works, comes back, hurts her MCL. Hurt the MCL, and it was like sprained. I don't know, man. Maybe there's something to this substation thing, but really what I think it is.
Because Jesse hurt her MCL.
Yeah. I don't, it's a whole thing.
Okay.
But I would say they've told you, the players have told you, Shanahan has told you that their practices are a little more buttoned up, a little more dialed in, a little more intense than everyone else's practices. I think he's going to have to, I think the one thing Kyle Shanahan has to do this summer, because I think he's completely swayed. You're right. I think he's completely swayed 49er fans into thinking that he's just a play caller. Like, good God, the amount of calls that we took. I've lamented this already on the podcast, but I'm going to do it again. The amount of calls that we took where people thought they were saying the most profound thing in the world when they said, I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's a great play caller, but he's a great play designer, blah, blah, blah. And it turned into a whole thing. And then, you know, the question of how aggressive he is going into halftime or late in the fourth quarter, Kyle Shanahan can't win the big one. Yeah. But I think what this season proved is beyond just how good of a play caller / designer he is. It is the culture that he built, that him and John Lynch built. Just listen to anything that the players have said about why they were able to be so resilient. It's because of what the coaching staff was able to instill in them. And that's led by Shanahan, who I think is way more of a player's coach than people realize. Just go and watch the mic'd up segment with him earlier in the season and tell me that's not Everyone always talks about arrogant, thinking that he's like kind of the head honcho where he's just not open to what not open to what anyone has to say. I think that's far from the truth, but I do think that with given all these injuries and given the potential for even more next year, because it's the NFL, maybe he needs to dial it back and reassess how they go about their practice methods. That's just a theory. Like, I'm not saying that's what they need to do.
Yeah, but I think that's why they play so well in games. They're not called for penalties so much.
That's the trade-off, right?
I mean,
preparing so you're ready for games, and they are usually the more conditioned team. They're like Herb Brooks's team in Miracle. We may not be the best team, but we will be the most conditioned team. You can count on that. I don't think Shanahan gives that sort of speech before the season starts, but I'm just saying, if that impacts the results, then fine, but you can't go into another year where you're just having all your stars injured, because this core that got injured, it seems to be the core that they're riding with, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, it's a little different. You still got Fred Warner and Diamondor Lenore, but you're trying to get this new era going. Whereas this offense, I mean, with Juszczyk, with Kittle, with Juwan Jennings, it's mostly been the same since 2019. So that's just a theory.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that it's vital they stay healthy. And as far as the future, when it comes to the offense, they need another wide receiver. It's clear that Kyle Shanahan was very infatuated with Teteroa McMillan, and he wants another big play guy. So we'll see what they do in free agency or even the draft. I think they will sign Juwan Jennings, but not to a significant contract. And Ricky Pearsall needs to be healthier, needs to play in the majority of games. That's why he's a first round pick. But I don't know if he's ever going to play like one. I think that his skill set is a slot receiver in this league, where if you're anticipating for him to get a ton of touchdowns, I don't know if that's his game. It wasn't his game really in college either. He's just a man beater, where Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk were not those guys. As far as the defense, a lot of rookies playing this year, and I think it was great that Alfred Collins and CJ West and Upton Stout showed what they're capable of, and another season under their belt will make them that much better. Michael Williams will be behind the eight ball, unfortunately, with a torn ACL. They just need to keep adding to the defensive line. I think Bryce Huff was a miss, unfortunately, and I don't mind them going after him, given the connection with Robert Saleh, but he's just not – I'm sure he's better with Nick Bosa in the lineup, where he's not a true number one pass rusher. He's a number two that could play off of him. Same thing with like Rashawn Gary, where you saw his sack numbers go down once Micah Parsons was out. So you got to keep building up the defense, and you got to add to the offensive line. You eventually need to find Trent Williams' replacement, because he said he's coming back, but it's only a matter of time before he's going to retire. So I don't think they need to do a whole hell of a lot, but yeah, you need to do what every team does and add in the offseason, add more. You need to hit on your draft picks. Nick Martin needs to play next season. You need to find more depth. You need to find more young. You need to find younger talent to compete with the likes of the Seahawks and Rams, who have built up their defenses with young talent. Mm-hmm. And now you need to find another defensive coordinator, where you kind of knew coming into the season that Robert Saleh could leave. He was close to getting the Jacksonville Jaguars job a year ago, and then Liam Cohen came back. And we'll talk about Robert Saleh going to Tennessee in a little bit here, but some people have the take today. I think Emmanuel Acho said that they're in trouble, where their defenses suffered once Robert Saleh left, and I disagree. DeMeco Ryans was pretty good for a while.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
It's not true. Steve Wilkes was
Since DeMeco Ryans left, it suffered.
Yes. Like, Steve Wilkes had a solid defense in 2023, but not to Kyle Shanahan's liking. Nick Sorensen probably should have never been defensive coordinator. And then as far as their options, I know Gus Bradley's on staff and they could retain him, but you look around the league and you see Raheem Morris, who's always connected with the play callers of Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Matt LaFleur. And all three guys will probably need his services, because I think all three teams are going to need defensive coordinators. I think Chris Shula's leaving the Rams. Jeff Hafley accepted the Dolphins job, and now Kyle Shanahan needs a DC, and they all are very close with Raheem. So that could be an option. See what happens with Jim Schwartz, where if he doesn't get the Browns head coaching gig, is he gone? And then there's Sean McDermott, who's now available because he was fired with the Buffalo Bills, but that would be another one and done situation. So
that's the thing. I don't think I think, I mean, sure, those guys sound great, but I mean, is Raheem Morris a one and done candidate? Do you think? Like, I mean, Jim
no,
Schwartz isn't. Which is why I'd be pretty high on Jim Schwartz joining the Niners if he could.
I don't think Raheem Morris is getting another head coaching job. I think he's done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, as long as you don't get a one and done, then I don't see the problem there. To me, what I'd be thinking about for the Niners is, what does the run game look like next year? Now that it's over, like, McCaffrey was not very effective catching the football in these playoffs. Not
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, he was fine against Philadelphia, but I was okay against Seattle.
Yeah,
he wasn't, and
the whole offense sucked against Seattle.
Well, they just couldn't run the football though. Like, that's why this offense is predicated on running the football. It always has been with Shanahan, and they've managed to kind of, after relying on late round draft picks and undrafted free agents, and the Matt Breidas and Raheem Mosterts of the world, and other guys that I'm already forgetting about because they've just rotated through so many. Christian McCaffrey was the first stable running back that you found. But if he's not as effective as a runner as he ever was, like last season, he wasn't. And the 49ers got by that because they were able to use him so much in the passing game. But I wonder what that's going to look like next year. And I'm sure part of that is on the offensive line. Like you say, they were all healthy, but the offensive line, it was hurt for a portion of the season, but for the most part, they were healthy. And even with Trent Williams, like, they just got dominated by a Seahawks defensive line. So I see changes that need to be made there. Like, sure, they could keep adding to the defense. I'm not totally down on the 49ers, but we're going to go into it next season where we're not fully confident that they're going to be the best team in the NFC West. Like, going into this season, it was between them and the Rams. The Seahawks were an afterthought, but now the Seahawks have leapfrogged both of them. And I think what we're really seeing is these draft picks, these really smart draft picks, all coming to fruition. And it doesn't bode well for the 49ers moving forward. Like, I think we're far from the days of them potentially getting a top overall seed in the conference.
Yeah, but I think they'll compete in that division. But you're right. It's going to be a dogfight now where we'll see what happens with the Rams. If they win the Super Bowl, it could be where Matthew Stafford goes off to the sunset and retires. As for the Seahawks, they're going to be here. They got a young team, and they already paid Sam Darnold. The next guy they got to pay is JSN. So that's down the line. Or maybe it's this offseason. I have no idea. But, that division is going to be a bitch. And we'll see what Arizona does. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be there. But, yeah, it's going to be competitive. But I do think I got to give kudos to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan for them having the mindset of Super Bowl or bust for however long. And then this offseason, it's like, okay, we got to have a competitive rebuild. And I kept referencing the Rams and the Buffalo Bills where they did that and just built around Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen. And this year, they did that with Brock Purdy. And even though he was hurt, it was successful. So give kudos to them and Brock Purdy for elevating his play. And, yeah, I think they're going to be a good team going forward. I think the window's open. But I agree with you, Stephen, where they may not be able to compete with the Seahawks with the team they have currently constructed, but that's why we have a draft and free agency. So
yeah,
we'll see what they add.
You're far ahead of a bunch of other teams in that you do have your quarterback. Like, Purdy's just fine.
Yeah.
I still think he holds on to the ball too long. I just do, but for the most part, he makes a smart play. And his arm's just fine. Like, the escapability was always there. How long can that last? I don't know, but what you got going for you is you got a head coach and you got a quarterback, and you also got Fred Warner on the other side of the field. And I really don't think they're going to let Fred Warner go everywhere. He strikes me as like a 49ers lifer. You still got Kittle and Juszczyk. I don't know how effective Juszczyk is anymore, honestly. Like, he's been such a staple of the 49ers run game, but a large part of Christian McCaffrey's ineffectiveness was due to the offensive line and the blocking too. He didn't get much so that he can get to the second level. So it didn't seem like he got as many of those random Kyle Juszczyk wheel routes where it's you kind of think the ball's going one way and the defense thinks the exact same thing. And then, Kyle Juszczyk's open on the other side of the field and Brock Purdy throws a dime to him. Like, you didn't see that all too much this year. So I do have some question marks, but as far as like a core of a team, you got it. It's just a question of what you do this year. I think this draft is pretty crucial, just to build for the future moving forward. I think they're okay for the right now, but draft-wise, they haven't shown that they're drafted all-pro players yet, which is what they seem to be doing year after year ever since Kyle Shanahan, took the reins. So I wonder if they're going to find another one this year. I don't really know about CJ West and Alfred Collins. Like, they made strides, but they also strike me as one of those guys who, like, they make a couple of plays that pop on tape and you post a clip on social media. Then it's like, oh my God, look at how much of a world beater these guys are. And then, for the rest of the game, it's just kind of whatever. Like, that's why everyone was so excited about Bryce Huff, because you get a couple of flashes. You get a couple of those NFL Pro clips that people post now where they show the all-22 and he wins a one-on-one rep with a right tackle. And you think, man, he's going to be able to do that every play. Well, look at what happened. I was told it was an absolute steal, according to everybody. An absolute steal. 49ers fleeced the Philadelphia Eagles, where they just didn't. So I still think the jury's out for Alfred Collins and CJ West, even though they were much improved going into the year. I'll say that. Upton Stout, though, Upton Stout looks like a home run. Like, he looks really good.
The most impressive rookie by far. Just real quick, your reaction last night where Robert Saleh was going to have a Zoom meeting with the Tennessee Titans, and he goes and meets him in person. It was down to him and Matt Nagy, and he gets the job where he's going to be that CEO coach, and he's going to call defensive plays, it sounds like. So Robert Saleh, now your head coach in Tennessee.
Yeah, pretty surprised by that.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Feels like you have teams that are not in a rebuild that are available, and the Titans being one of them. I get you got a first overall pick, a high draft pick this year, and you got a little bit of a defense to work with. I think it was an interesting decision, but I wonder how much of it in Saleh's mind is like, I got to build this thing. Like, I need to build a team from the ground up. Well, I don't want to take over a team that's already won, because when you're building, you have a much higher ceiling. Whereas teams right now, say like the Baltimore Ravens, like, yeah, you get to go to a team with Lamar Jackson and a Roquan Smith and a bunch of good players on defense, but who knows how much longer they have, and you got to rely on the organization to, fill that roster moving forward. Whereas the Titans, it's like, all right, we could start from kind of the ground up.
I don't think Robert Saleh, he did a really good job this year with keeping that defense alive and patching it together with what he had left. I don't think Robert Saleh, though, was ever really going to get a Baltimore Ravens or a Pittsburgh Steelers or a Buffalo Bills job.
Really?
I think that he's a culture setter, and I don't think that teams view him as the guy that's going to get them over the hump. Like, when you fire a John Harbaugh or a Mike Tomlin steps down or a Sean McDermott's fired, I don't think you look to Robert Saleh to be like, that's the guy that's going to make us win in the playoffs. I think he's a guy that builds a team up. And he needed to go to a perfect situation where the quarterback was already in place, where that was his downfall with Zach Wilson with the Jets, and then they made a move for Aaron Rodgers. I think it's a perfect situation for Robert Saleh, where just build the defense up and have somebody focus on the offense. And whether that guy's Bobby Slowick, that would be my first choice for Robert Saleh as his offensive coordinator. Or I won't be the least bit surprised, since the job was down to Robert Saleh or Matt Nagy, that they're like, look, Matt, you don't have a job right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. They moved on. Eric Bieniemy's back as their OC. Would you be willing to be our offensive coordinator, even though you do not get the job? Would you be down to be the guy that molds Cam Ward? And you go to Robert Saleh and say, are you okay with that? And if everybody signs off, then I think that's a slam dunk move where you basically get two head coaches. Yeah, dude, I think that the most entertaining thing about this is, twice a year, we get to hear Robert Saleh tell Liam Cohen, I'm going to end your fucking life. So that's entertaining as hell. But yeah, I think that it's funny where Robert Saleh is kind of that Mike Vrabel type, even though he hasn't had the same success, obviously, as a head coach. That's what Tennessee was looking for, ironically, after they fired the guy, 2 years ago. So I think it's a good move.
With that Mike Vrabel type, as in he could absolutely kick your ass in a one-on-one battle.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it was the best situation for him. And it sounded like for Robert Saleh, his two choices were either be the Titans head coach or the Cardinals head coach. And Tennessee is a much better gig than Arizona at this point.
Yeah, and you are working with a former Chiefs executive. Like Mike Berganzi gave him an offer that he can't refuse.
Thank you. As far as the other playoff games, I was thoroughly disappointed the Buffalo Bills lost. That game was fun as hell, but the end result pissed me off. And we can go into details about or analyze the Brandon Cooks play. In the end, they got the call right. Like, I wanted to justify the fact that Brandon Cooks got his knee down and that was a catch, but he didn't maintain possession all the way through. So I can't argue against that one. And also, just the penalties sucked. Yeah. Like, for that game to be dictated by 53 yards worth of PI calls, yuck. But they were the right calls. And I know Josh Allen was upset after the game and said, I let my teammates down. He did. But honestly, he had the best 4 turnover performance I've seen in a postseason in quite some time, where some of those passes were on the money. The one he threw to Dalton Kincaid, beautiful.
Yeah.
But then again, he missed throws. He missed Khalil Shakir on the screen pass where you put that ball in the dirt. It was skipped. If he catches that ball, he scores. They're up 31-23, and who's to say that the Broncos were able to score and get the 2-point conversion? He missed Dawson Knox where he was wide open in regulation. Probably should have scored on that play. And God, some of the missed opportunities. The Josh Allen fumble right before half, that was inexcusable. I thought he lateraled at first. I was like, what are you doing? The strip sack by Nick Bonito, he just didn't see him, and I believe a wide receiver was blocking Nick Bonito, which is just terrible protection. The Dalvin Cook fumble, too, that killed him when they were driving the football. Give a ton of credit to Bo Nix. He played a really good game. The Broncos weren't able to run that much, but in the end, it was on, in my opinion, Josh Allen and the Bills defense. And sure enough, Sean McDermott lost his job over this game, which you and I were kind of waiting on. But yeah, I'm disappointed because I wanted to see Bills Patriots for a third time, and now we get funny after the game. They win the game, and we find out that Jarrett Stidham broke his ankle. Now we get Jarrett Stidham versus Drake May. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, here you go, Jarrett. I mean, he talked all that shit when he first got to the Broncos, where he felt
That's
like
right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
In the NFL. Well, here you go. You got to start in the biggest game for the Broncos since 2015. Have at it. Well, since 2016, technically, but the 2015 season. Have at it, Jarrett. Enjoy. This game was a mess. The most chaotic, fun mess ever. Like, I did not want the Broncos to win. I do not like the Broncos. I don't. I don't like Bo Nix seems like a nice enough individual, but I don't like Bo Nix.
As a quarterback, yeah.
I don't like Sean Payton. Nick Medito is awesome. Talanoa Hufanga is awesome, but I don't like them. I don't like the colors. I don't like the logo. I don't like the city. Why are you a mile high? Who do you think you are? Better than everybody? I don't like the city. I don't like the state. I've never been to Colorado. I'm sure it's lovely. I just don't like the Broncos. Didn't want them to win.
I'm getting that. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, you got that? You hear me?
I got it.
Yeah. Nikola Jokic. Can't stand him. But anyway, I wanted the Bills to win. And look, when your quarterback makes that many mistakes early, you're not going to win. And he did. And Josh Allen, he's not crying so that you would give him sympathy. He's crying because that's how he really felt. He let his team down. And I'm sorry. I agree. I get it. I totally understand that you feel like you let your team down because you did. And he knows it. And it's not like we need confirmation. It's not like he's doing, there's got to be some sort of psychological term for this. Like, are there any psychology majors out there where people will say one thing about their performance and expect some sort of reaction that would make you feel better? As in, Josh Allen is going to his post-game presser saying, I let my team down, and then wanting people to respond saying, nah, Josh, you didn't let your team down. No, that's on your teammates. That's on them. Like blah 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 blah. I don't think he was going for that sort of thing, whatever that's called. I don't know what that's called. It's like, is that reverse psychology?
I have no idea, but
There's a term for that.
Well, it's not. I don't think he was looking for sympathy.
No, but there are people who do that. I'm saying, but he's not. Like, he genuinely feels like he let his team down because he did. Like, you turn the ball over that many times as a quarterback, you can't expect to win every game. And
yeah,
you know, this was his to lose too. Like all the emotion of just not having Mahomes and Burrow. Like, Allen is not big on social media by the looks of it, but he had to know like there was a lot riding on these playoffs for him, and this might have been his best chance to win it, no matter who the competition was.
It wasn't where
it wasn't because he didn't have the best team around him. Like the defense was suspect.
He needed the number 1 seed. Really, he needed to have a great seed. He needed to have the team he had a year ago right now.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, the defense was not as good, and Sean McDermott lost his job over it. But as far as Josh, yes, he's guilty in the reason that they lost this game. But also, he had a damn good performance at the same time. Where, yes, he had 4 turnovers, but he kept him in the game because he's fucking Josh Allen.
I don't know, man. I can't call it a damn good performance if you turn the ball over that much.
I know,
he was
man.
good outside of them, but there's still the turnovers, and that leads everything for me.
Of course, but at the same time, like in the end, they were down 23-17, and he got him back in the game.
Sure.
With great touchdown passes.
Sure.
And yet he just missed throws, and he needs his defense to help him a little bit more. And they didn't do him any favors this offseason. I know that they got, Josh Palmer, but he's not a true number 1. Khalil Shakir, he's a good slot guy. Cole, what's his name? Who's the wide receiver? Keon Coleman. I don't know if he's that good. He's been, a healthy scratch in multiple games this season. What do they do a wide receiver? That's going to be the big key this offseason. And they have good pass rushers, but they're not consistent enough. Joey Bosa, Gregory Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver came back for this game and hardly played. I think he re-injured his knee again, or what was it? His whatever it was, the injury he had in this game. But yeah, I think he was crying honestly because he knew that maybe he cost his coach's job. I think they kind of knew for a little while there what the expectations were. Whereas you just said, Steven, there was no Mahomes, there was no Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, where there's no excuses. You should have been that team this year. You should not have lost the division to the Patriots. That this new up-and-coming team, why are you finishing second? And sure enough, that happened. And I think you saw the same reaction from Deion Dawkins when he heard that Josh Allen was crying, and Tre'Davious White's upset. Brandon Cooks is upset in the postgame. I think they knew that if they lost this game, the changes were going to be made because there was no excuses. Even though this was not as good as a football team as a year ago, they needed to win. And you saw Sean McDermott, hold court after the game, being like, "Why was that not a catch by Brandon Cooks?" I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I think he knew too that he was going to be gone. And you read the reports that he, an evaluation of the roster with Brandon Beane and Terry Pagola, saying that he doesn't believe he can win with this roster. And they were like, well, that's the answer we don't want to hear. And you know what? I don't have a problem with them firing him because I like Sean McDermott, but Mike Vrabel seems to run circles around you where he knows how to beat you. And you were lucky to come back in that game when you were down 21-0 in the regular season against the Patriots. And he's not the reason that they've lost these playoff games, but you don't want Josh Allen ending up like Dan Marino. So they had to make a change, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they go the offensive coordinator route where it could be Joe Brady, it could be Brian Daboll. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they Go like the old Mike Shanahan route with the Broncos back in the day where they fired Dan Reeves and brought back John Elway's favorite coordinator. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised in that. But I think it needed to be done. I think it was the right time to move on from Sean McDermott, unfortunately.
Brian Daboll just interviewed for the Eagles OC job. How about that one?
That'd be interesting, too. He knows Jalen Hurts from back in the day with Alabama, but Josh loves himself some Brian Daboll. Now, if you hire Brian Daboll, you're losing Joe Brady as your OC.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, what if you bring him on, though, and keep Joe Brady as a head coach?
You know how offensive court, you know how play callers are when their egos are hurt a little bit, where it's like, I'm not the head coach, and I'm sure Brian Dable wants to call the plays. All right, let's move on to the crazy ass game with the Rams and Bears. And I thought Caleb Williams had like an Aaron Rodgers 2015 versus the Arizona Cardinals performance where he has an all-time play, but lost the game. And that, what was it, 4th and 8 or what was it? No, 4th and 4. And he just, at first, my reaction was, oh my God, Caleb, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? Oh, shit. And at first I texted you just being like, that's a crazy ass play where he just runs backwards and heaves it up. You're like, no, that was actually a pretty good throw. And you're right. He knew where to throw. He knew that Cole Kmet was open. Give credit to Caleb Williams, man. Like, even though he threw 3 interceptions, it was a fun game. He kept him alive. And he's a gamer, man, where he's figuring things out in this Ben Johnson offense. But yeah, some of the interceptions were pretty bad. The 4th down decision they made early in the game, he threw a high ball that got tipped up in the air, intercepted. The game sealer where they were driving. Well, first and foremost, before we get to that, do you think that they were going to go for 2 once they scored to tie the game up 17-17?
Oh, man. For a moment, I thought so, but I was like, no chance.
Well, the rule always is if you're on the road, you should do that. But they were home. They had the momentum. So I don't fault them for not going for 2. However, in hindsight, you probably should have because you had all the momentum. And I'm sure that Ben Johnson had a creative play to go for it. But they were going to win that game. They should have won that game. And that interception in overtime, Caleb could have easily just ran for the first down, but he saw an open DJ Moore, and DJ Moore was open. He just kind of dogged the route, honestly. If you look at Chase Daniels' breakdown of it, he does not go full sprint. And Cam Curl just caught up to the route. And it's an unfortunate interception. But honestly, I thought the Rams played kind of mediocre, where offensively they were not themselves. I mean, who's their leading receiver? Tyler Higbee, and Puka Nacua was held in check. Great catch by Devontae Adams on, I believe it was that final drive, but
yeah,
only 2 catches for 17 yards. Matthew Stafford looked uncomfortable in the snow. I downplayed it, but I think it was a factor. And also, Sean McVay, I think, was conservative, where they punted the ball back to the Bears when it was that 3rd and 7 play. I think that just Sean McVay didn't have a lot of faith in Matthew Stafford completing a ball right there. If it was incomplete, then they get the ball back before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting where
a 3rd and 10 run with the clock winding down to 2 minutes. Like, what is that?
Yeah, they were lucky to win this game, honestly, and I still give a ton of credit for the Rams, and I have a lot of confidence in them going forward. They ran the ball effectively with Kyren Williams, over 100 yards in this game collectively as a team. Not Matthew Stafford's best performance, the best defensive performance you've seen from the Rams in quite some time. But yeah, honestly, if we're going to talk about this game, I would say that I think the Bears lost it more than the Rams won it.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Plus, I don't know. I go back and forth because like Ben Johnson comes from the Dan Campbell School of Hard Knocks, where I'm going to go for it on every 4th down, but it's okay to take the points. You know, it's okay to just kick a field goal. Like, I understand it's a 17-10 game. You want to get the touchdown, but you go 12 plays, 61 yards, and then you have a 4th and 2 where you go for it, and it just doesn't work when it doesn't feel like you're moving the ball downfield. Like, Ben Johnson's got to learn, just take the points. I think it can change everything. Now, granted, the Rams ended up punting, so it didn't matter. But just take the points, man, especially when you lose by 3. Like, when it's a game that close, just take any of them that you can get. I kind of understood the first one, like you're in 4th and short, go for it, fine. But that one towards the end of the game, like, come on. And Caleb Williams is just an absurd player. Like, I don't know if there's anyone more enjoyable to watch right now because of the unpredictability. Like, if you love steady play where you're just going to get accurate passes, tremendous decision making, runs when they need to, you're not getting any of that with Caleb Williams. Sometimes feels like he runs when he doesn't need to. tries to make plays off schedule, doesn't always make the most accurate throws, but my God, does he have a rifle? He has a laser, and watching him uncork a throw that's traveling at 100 miles an hour is insane. And that play, like, sure, he can't be backing up 30 yards. Like, no quarterback is advised to do that. But he saw his man in the end zone and just managed to flick it. It like I told Jesse afterwards, I'm like, that's one of the best throws I think I've ever seen. And he's like, why? He was just doing his job. What? You're not I'm like, I need to text somebody right now because you're just not understanding how difficult of a throw that was. Anyway, yeah, but you're right though, because the Rams didn't play. They weren't great, but it's Matthew Stafford, man. Matthew Stafford with a game on the line, like that's where he's the most comfortable. And the fact that they even got away from this game, like they did not play well in the cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little bit colder when they travel to Seattle. I don't know what the forecast is like. I don't know if it's going to be wet. I don't know if it's going to be windy, but if
colder
it's
or warmer, you'd say.
I mean, it's going to be cold, not colder.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, compared if it's like the 49ers game,
mm-hmm.
where it's just kind of beautiful out, like a nice winter night where everyone's all bundled up, but you're not freezing to the point where you could get like hypothermia. And I think we're in for potentially another game like that one on Thursday night. And I wonder if we're going to see another game where it's trending towards a blowout and, and a return for a touchdown and another big run by Rashid Shaheed kind of changes the whole trajectory of the game. Are we in for that? I don't know. But to be honest, the fact that the Rams even won, kind of like their chances in the conference championship, believe it or not.
I do too. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, but that Sean McVay is chomping at the bit to play this team again, where that week was weird with the Puka Nacua live stream, and he was flustered after the loss, the weird 2-point conversion play. He was pissed. That was the most unraveled I saw Sean McVay in a postgame, where he wants revenge on this team, where he knows that they should have won that game. And I remember like that whole drive where the Seahawks were going to, the Puka Nacua touchdown put him up 37-30, and then he knew that his defense could not stop them. And if they were going to go for two and win that game, and Sean McVay is just so livid. So it's going to be entertaining. I know 49er fans are pissed that we get this matchup without the 49ers in an NFC championship game, and it's all NFC West, but I'm very excited for this. And then the AFC championship game, Patriots should win that game. Man, we'll talk about it more on Thursday. Last game, and this game was kind of Patriots win 28-16. I was surprised Drake May was able to throw for 3 touchdown passes against that defense. And the Kayshon Boutte touchdown, the one-handed one over Derek Stingley, that was Randy Moss over Darrelle Revis back in the day. That was beautiful. And give credit to the Patriots for playing really good defense, and Drake May doing enough, not passing for over 200 yards in that game, but you score 3 touchdowns on that defense. Good enough.
Not to mention Stephon Diggs' touchdown, too.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line in this game is C.J. Stroud was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
4 interceptions in the first half. He did not look ready to play. He hasn't looked like himself in 2 years. The 3 turnovers didn't cost them in the Pittsburgh game, but this game, even though his wide receivers didn't help him out and were dropping some passes, he was brutal. And you're going to pick up the 5th-year option because you're just not going to do that. But to pay him a long-term contract, he's got to play a whole hell of a lot better. And it can't just be where you keep firing offensive coordinators because he's not playing well. It's his fault. I blame him for the offense a year ago, and they should not have fired Bobby Slowick. But we're here now. And honestly, he hasn't been really that good since he told Caleb Williams, hang your head up. You're still got a lot of football to play in this league, and acting like he accomplished so much his rookie season. He did. He was amazing that year, but he's not look like that same player.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I came away impressed with the Patriots, and they're probably going to win the AFC now. But yeah, I think they have that Texans defense did not play their best, but that defense was wasted with the play of C.J. Stroud, and he needs to play a whole hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really help when you don't let your offense on the field, or your defense on the field rather. Yeah, you throw a pick six on the first play of a drive, and you go out there for another 4 plays, and you throw another interception, and then you throw another one 2 possessions later. You know it's bad. You know it's bad when Davis Mills might be the better option in the playoffs. Oh no, they might have to turn to Davis Mills here. They've won some games with him.
Was that Aikman?
No, it was more. I mean, I wasn't doing an impression of anybody, but they were saying that at halftime. I think Ryan Clark was saying that as he was going off. He was going off on C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
but and just you know what? I don't even want to disparage Davis Mills, but the fact that you even had people questioning whether they should actually go to the backup instead of you when you're supposed to be the franchise quarterback, it felt like the death nail in his Texans career, honestly. And CJ Stroud, it feels like he's one of those top 5 quarterbacks who's shown tremendous potential, but it might not work with the current team that he's in, and maybe just needs a new change of scenery, needs to go be a backup somewhere. I don't know. I mean, next year he's going to get one more chance, and I think, like you said, they're probably going to pick up the 5th-year option. Next year he's going to get one more shot at it, but it feels like it's trending that way right now because he's just declined. Not seeing the field all that well. The run game wasn't great, and he did not have as many weapons around him. But to throw 4 interceptions in the first half against the Patriots team, that was fine. They were fine, but you had every chance to get back into that game, and you let the Patriots in it yourself. So, CJ Stroud, it's fascinating. It's like you had a great rookie year, and then you had a sophomore slump and a junior dump.
And I mean, let's be honest too, like DeMeco Ryans kind of gave up on the offense. Like, when did he punt? It was, I'm looking here. Yeah, it was with 3:55 left in the game, and they're down 28-16. It's a 2-possession game.
Yeah. And
DeMeco Ryans, I just didn't have faith in his offense, which in a playoff game, you're like, holy shit, that's terrible. And they wasted such a good defensive effort. I didn't realize until now, looking at the stats, the Texans caused 4 turnovers, or I don't know if they were all turnovers, but 4 forced fumbles, 3 sacks from Will Anderson, 2 from Danielle Hunter. Like, this defense was championship-esque. And their offense just did nothing. C.J. Stroud has totally regressed, not to mention the running game. 22 carries for 48 yards, nothing from Woody Marks or Nick Chubb. And, of course, the running back position was kind of funky from the beginning, where Joe Mixon was out for the season. And we still don't know what that injury was, but or how that was caused. I guess it was a leg injury. But, yeah, if we're being honest here, C.J. Stroud was 1 interception away from a Nathan Peterman-like performance where he threw 5 interceptions in the first half of a game. It got benched in the regular season. C.J. Stroud did that in the postseason. He needs to play better, just the bottom line.
Yeah, I don't think there's any more to it. And that was the bigger story out of this game.
100%. All right, Steven, that's all I got for tonight. Anything else?
You remember Courtney Anderson?
Of course. The old Raiders tight end?
Yeah. There's a story that his son is in a little bit of transfer trouble at the high school level. I forgot which school he transferred to, but he's a 6'7" senior who's just a monster. And he transferred to a certain school, and the NCS has not allowed him to play yet due to some sort of ruling, and they're appealing it as we speak. But I was just reading this article. It was on the Mercury News, and then it was like Cameron Jordan, okay? And then later on in the article, it says, or excuse me, not Cameron Jordan. I'm already forgetting the last name. Later on in the second half, they're like, yeah, it's former Raiders tight end Courtney Anderson. It's like, whoa.
Interesting.
It's his son.
How about the old Miss QB, Trinidad Chambliss?
Yeah.
Suing the NCAA for wanting his eligibility still, and they told him, no, you have to go declare for the NFL. I don't know what his draft stock is. That kind of sucks.
Well, you know what? the NCAA is finally doing something right. These kids just trying to prolong
these goddamn kids.
Well, their athletic eligibility, like Carson Beck saying before the national championship, that's 2 years. That is such a bad look.
He probably should not have admitted that. He probably should not have said that.
The NCAA is terribly run. I'm sorry. Like college football, it's not broken, but and last night, it was obviously the best turnaround that we've ever seen in college football, really, from laughing stock of the league to national champion in 2 years' time behind kickball dad Kurt Signetti. But he looks like him. But the academic versus athletic eligibility, that's a mess. Kudos to the NFL for the way they conduct their coaching interviews. They don't really let the assistants start interviewing until after they're done with the game. Like the fact that these head coaches can already get hired even before in the college football playoff, like the committee, the selection committee is already a mess too. It's just, I don't know. I see something like that. I'm like, good on the NCAA. Like this guy just wants to play because, hey, dude, you were in Division II for your entire career and you got hurt. Oh, well, sorry. Like your time's up, man.
Yeah, but we'll see what his draft stock is going to be. And
it's not going to be anything. That's why he wants to play the NCAA so bad.
Well, he'll still get drafted, but he's probably going to be a backup in the league where he hasn't played enough.
A practice squad guy, like any of these other college quarterbacks who reach these late stages. Stetson Bennett, for example. Hey, you're going to be a third string quarterback that you're only going to play in the preseason. Great. I don't know.
Well, we'll see about Carson Beck, where there's a reason why he wanted to transfer to Miami because he was losing his job with the Georgia Bulldogs. But I felt bad for him throwing that interception, the game-slinging interception in the national championship. But I got a feeling that he probably wasn't too depressed after the game when it seems like him and – I don't know if that was a rumor, Steven. I think him and Abella Danger are pretty chummy these days.
That was a rumor.
You sure about that?
Pretty sure.
I don't know.
You don't know? Or are you sure?
Not really.
Have you seen something?
No, they show a lot of her at these games. Is she going to school there currently?
No, dude.
She already graduated?
I think so. Pretty sure she's in like her 30s.
I know, but like there was.
But I mean, you're never too old to go to college per se.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Where is she going to school now? Where all these college kids are like, "Hey, I just watched a short film by you."
Yeah, and Alon brings it up. Could you imagine Brent Musburger if you would have seen her? Yeah, that University of Miami is going to get a lot of enrollees next year. I can tell you that.
I'll tell you what, I've seen this lady's work, and it's interesting. Anyway.
Second down and 9.
All right, everybody, that's going to be it for tonight.
Oh, and also, hang on real quick.
I'm sorry, okay.
The Sharks just continue to be the best watch in the Bay Area right now, bar none.
Wait, did they win tonight?
No, they lost.
Okay.
They lost to the Lightning like 4-1. But yesterday, last night, that moment with
just a great line by Alon right here. Jackpot, baby.
God. The goalie fight with Alex Nedeljkovic, a backup goaltender. Like that game was chippy. The Panthers didn't know what to do because they're the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, so they have that going for them. And we've talked about their head coach, but one thing they're an extremely dirty team, and they were getting outright dominated by the Sharks. They were already up 3-0 going to the third period. I think it was like 20 seconds into it. Panthers got one back, but it was becoming more and more chippy with their defenseman Desharnais. This guy who's like 6'6" or 6'7" or something, who was brought in there to be an enforcer and get under the other team's skin. And he did it beautifully to the point where this star goal scorer, Evan Rodriguez, kind of cross-checks him in the back. Alex Nedeljkovic gets involved, and then from the other side of the ice, basically 200 feet away, Sergei Bobrovsky, a future Hall of Famer, comes in, and they start fighting.
Throwing hands, man.
That's as much adrenaline as I've had from a sporting event in a long time. Truly.
It's the first fighting major for a Sharks goalie in 27 years.
Yeah. I mean, and technically in 1999, that wasn't even like a real Sharks goalie fight. Like the goalie got involved.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a true goalie on goalie fight. This one was, and it hasn't happened in the NHL since 2020. Funnily enough, the last guy involved in a fight was Cam Talbot in 2020. Then Nedeljkovic said after the game, yeah, this one didn't really count towards like the fight stat sheet, but me and Cam Talbot got into it a little bit during one scrum where I was involved. So I got in one fight a couple of years ago in Detroit. But yeah, this was really the first one. And kudos to him, man. Bobrovsky was going at like 15 miles an hour, and Nedeljkovic still stayed on his feet. So much fun.
Yeah, they're the most exciting team in the Bay Area right now. As far as potential, I mean, we'll see about the Giants. I don't know. They haven't made a lot of moves, and we'll see about the Warriors. Their season might have ended last night, but Sharks are fun. Sharks are really fun.
Well, I can tell you right now, the Warriors are down 101-77.
Yeah. So we'll let everybody go and watch that game. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. To everybody in the chat tonight, thanks to Alon dropping by. Better late than never. Thanks, my friend. Thanks to AJ Cruz. Thanks to Rocka New Era. Thanks to Otis Bird is the word. Thanks to who else we got here? Mac Van. And I believe, do we see Ernie One or anybody else in this chat? I believe that's it for tonight. All right, everybody. Oh, Don Peralta dropped by for a little bit. Oh, yeah, Ernie One too. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys on Thursday at 7:15. Steven, say what you always say.
Abella Danger told TMZ, quote, I would give anything in the world to not have had ESPN film me, and I am so deeply sorry to anyone I offended with my attendance at the game. I wish I could be any other student supporting my team.
So she's a student.
I suppose so.
Wow.
And that is.
She must be the most popular girl in class.
That is just our opinion, man.